called prayer. 1, a prayer for Moses, the man of God. There is a prayer that is none like it in another person. Prayer number 2 is the prayer for David. This is the prayer which there is none like it in another king. And number 3, the prayer for the poor. Of those 3, the most important is the prayer for the poor. This prayer precedes Moses' prayer, precedes David's prayer, and precedes all other prayers in the world. The prayer, the poor is brokenhearted. It is written, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted. The poor always quarrels with the Creator, and the Creator listens and hears his words. When the poor has prayed his prayer, he opens all the windows of the firmament and all other prayers that rise up. The brokenhearted prayer pushes them away. It is written, a prayer for the poor, for he will wrap. It should have said, for he will wrap himself. What is, for he will wrap? He has caused delay, delaying all the prayers in the world which do not enter until the prayer enters. Wrapping means delaying.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Thank you, Annie. Hi, Galen. Hi, Tom. Hi, Derek.
Nice, Annie.
So it looks like the prayer for the poor gets heard. Well, that's good news.
Yay.
And don't we need that when we're trying to deal with our friends?
Tell you, if the Creator hears the prayers for the poor, his ears must be ringing right now.
Wow, we got Lance here too. Hi, Lance and Kathy. Galen out in California. Look at the tall trees. So how can we praise friends to keep this going in a proper meeting? You're all great for showing up and having this touching base like once a week here outside of our normal 10 and the Rob lesson. Thank you all for coming. Just popcorn, whoever wants to go next. Praise the friends.
Actually, I'm so glad to be here. I find myself that after the Shabbat, it's hard to reboot and get back into the work, and this is just that kickstart I need. So I'm always happy to be here, and I always miss it when I'm not. So glad to see everybody.
One of the questions I have about this meeting is it an opportunity? I would like to have an opportunity to ask some questions that are probably a little more possibly deeper about maybe stuff we've read that there isn't an opportunity to ask anybody else. And I don't know how people look at that, but that's been on my mind.
I'm just so glad to see all your faces, and I haven't seen for a while. I've been away for a week, and I just realized how much more special you are to me, and how much I need you on this goal, and how great you are. It's just such a privilege to be with you all, and how much opportunity you guys and ladies can bring to the world. It's truly special.
And as Michael said, it's great to see everybody. Some of you I haven't seen for a month or so, and there's so many opportunities. I wish I could be everywhere at once. And
I'm really glad to see everyone. I'm haven't been connecting as much as I'd like to since I moved out here. I'm trying to find my rhythm again. You know, I feel all of you think about me, and I appreciate that. You guys are awesome and so dedicated, and I love all of you. It's great to see you.
Anyone left?
I just like to say, meeting like this, it just brings to mind an expression: birds of a feather flock together. Think of thoughts, think of intentions instead of birds, and that's what it really means. That's why we're here all together, because where else can we flock together? It's with people like you that enable us to do this, and it is truly wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, like Gary is saying, not just flocking together like birds, but to be among the land of the living. You know, this is a great place to be.
Yeah, I feel like this is the only place where there's sanity. We all deal with people in the outside world, and it's really great to be able to come together with people that are on the same train of thought. Thank you very much.
Thank you, friends. Sorry I'm late. What's going on?
We're just practicing on praise prayers.
There's a little cut up there in your microphone, Derek. It's rusty.
We just had an opening intention and a round of praise of friends, and Annie was interested in possibly asking some questions.
Ask away.
Well, I wanted to say we can't ask questions in our 10. We can't ask the Rob questions. So where do we go if we have questions and we'd like a little more insight to them about something we've read or something the Rav has said? And I do have a question. I would like a little greater explanation of the expansion of the Kli, which is number 44 on page 588 in the student Kabbalah for student. Unfortunately, I do not have it open. It would take me a minute to open it.
Page number again, Annie?
44, and I don't know if that's an appropriate question or not, you know? But I'd love to hear what other people think about it.
Is that the page number, Annie, or the item number?
It's 588, number 44.
Okay.
Subsequently, there is hitkalelut of the male and female too, in the female too. This means that the reshimo of itlabshut is integrated with the reshimo of aviyut. This produces a zivug of haka'ah only at the level of the female, the level of Bchina Gimel, which is the level of Chokhmah, called Havaya de'ab. The upper zivug, when the female is included in the male, is considered the level of the male, which is nearly the level of Keter. And the lower zivug, when the male is included in the female, is considered the female level, which is only the level of Chokhmah. Yet the aviyut in the male level does not come from himself, but by means of hitkalelut with the female. And although it suffices to elicit the level of 10 sfirot from below upwards, called Rosh, this level still cannot spread above from above downwards in the form of a guf, which would mean clothing of lights in the kilim. This is so because the zivug dakan aviyut that comes from hitkalelut is insufficient for the expansion of kilim.
Okay, that's my question right there. What is that expansion?
We'd have to look at what comes before that to get into it, but in essence, when you have light hitting the kli, right, coming into the partzuf, it has to go through the rosh, where the decision is made. And what's the decision that goes on in the rosh? What's the conditioning before light entering the kli?
Shame.
Shame brought forth the masach. And what does the masach maintain? What does it say? From the moment I have a masach, what light can go in?
Only panim. Only the light I allow in. Panim.
That's what it's called, but what is the condition? How do I decide what light is panimi I can allow in?
Only the level I can bestow.
Only that which I can bestow. Okay? So if it's going to expand into the kli, it has to be for the sake of bestowal, right? How do I do that? I do ol chozer. How much can I reflect backwards to the creator? If I'm going to receive pleasure, it has to be for the pleasure of the creator or for the pleasure of the other, right? So if I'm getting 100% light coming my way, and I can only give 20% of that back, then only 20% can expand into the kli. If I could give all 100% of the light back, if I could return it, give it, then the whole kli would be expanded. And you'd have a full kli called Ein Sof. Male, female has to do with receiving and bestowing. Female is receiving, and male is, what did I just say? Female is receiving, male is bestowing.
Zohar, when the light enters the kli, the Kabbalists normally refer to that as the kelim or as the sephirot.
Ask again.
When the expansion of the light enters the kli, the level that is only acceptable for bestowal, is that then referred to as a level of the sephirot? Like Keter Hakma Bin Azerampin or Malhut at that stage? No?
Those are the levels within the kli.
Because the vessel without the light is called the kli, right?
The vessel is called the kli, not without the light, with the light.
And with the light is called the sephirot.
The desire is called the kli. Sfirot are the different aspects of the expansion of light in a kli.
Right. So this acceptance of this level of bestowal as an expansion of the kli is actually just an increase in the desire of similarity of form. Is that what that would be? This light that you're allowing in. This is a desire for bestowal, for similarity of form. It's an increase in desire, basically.
The desire remains the same. What changes is the intention. The intention to either receive or the intention to bestow. The more intention I have to bestow, the more light I can receive. But it's a different light, right? Because the light now that's entering is not light just for my benefit, but it's a light for the benefit of the Creator. You guys remember the host and the guest, right? It's not how much flavor, how much potatoes and meat and chicken and salad and potato and apple pie I can eat and then fill my belly, but it's how much pleasure I can give to the host from receiving it.
So are you saying then upon the coming together of in the Absolute, that now the Kli can expand, it can grow, it can develop? Am I hearing this correctly?
What's expanding is the extent of how much light can enter the Kli. How much pleasure is coming in. That's what's expanding. Now, to answer your initial question, where can I ask such questions? At your level at this point, probably the best place for these kind of questions is to join the Pticha class. They have I know we started by doing a Pticha class together with me, but that was because I was bridging the gap for the students who didn't have Pticha. Now, basically, the program in the EC is expanded to the point where students at your level will have the option of taking the young group, the graduate class with Mike, or the Pticha, or all three. And so that'll be part of the of that program. And you should be able to take Pticha if you want. And if you're still having questions on that and you need more clarity on that and you feel like you need to strengthen that, Pticha is always the best course to take. The preface to the Wisdom of Kabbalah. We usually teach it in the very beginning levels in the second semester, the 10 lessons of the basic fundamentals of Pticha. But I think the Pticha course is a little bit more extensive. It's got a little bit more. And there are also, in the archive, you can look it up and see a lot there. As far as asking Rav specific questions on Tes and on the upper worlds and all that, the problem you have is that Rav is teaching the people in front of him. And so students who have been 7 days a week for the last 20 years in his classroom and have been studying this that deeply, he has very little room for someone who's asking very beginner questions there. That's usually the place for these classes and for classes like the campuses and the AC and the Pticha courses and stuff like that the instructors do. So it's kind of hard to get through with a question. And I don't know where you came forth with the assumption that you cannot ask questions of Rav. Absolutely, you can ask questions of Rav any day. That's the reason you have Sviva Tova or Kab TV, and there's a place for questions there. And if your question makes it through, Rav will answer that question. There are screeners there. There are people who are sitting there and saying, is this question going to benefit the whole class? Is this a question that will take us off the flow of the lesson? Because if not, they'll get on the head from Rav. If Rav is trying to explain a certain concept and all of a sudden you throw a question that is like completely going to confuse everyone and do that, he does not take that kindly. And you can understand
That's my favorite part. When he scolds somebody over the question.
You don't like that?
I know, it's my favorite part. I love it.
I didn't, Zohar, I didn't recognize, you said I could join that, and you said a word, and I don't recognize that word, and I don't know if it's because
Pticha?
the way
preface to the Wisdom of Kabbalah?
Pardon?
I'm sorry. Pticha is the way it's called in Hebrew. It's the preface to the Wisdom of Kabbalah. The article that you're reading that you asked me to quote from, that specific article, there's a course in the EC. You can go to your EC page and find that course.
I've taken that course twice from you.
Yeah?
So when I had...
Maybe you need a good teacher.
Pardon?
Maybe you need a good
yes,
teacher.
I did. But I still have questions, and what I did was I sat in on the course with you, and then I went back and reviewed it on the YouTube to make sure that I could hear what you were saying, but I still have questions. And now I don't have, now I don't have a teacher I can ask those questions of.
I hear you. It's not easy, and I'll just try to quote Rav on this. If you think you're going to understand it without feeling it, you never will. I mean, you may be able to explain certain concepts or have certain basic fundamental things, be able to kind of get them. The problem is that it doesn't resonate with our logic. It doesn't resonate in that level. It comes from if you're not in attainment, if you're not in that state where you're actually feeling those sfirot and kilim and lights and zivugim and all that. They're words, and it's like anyone takes Spanish in school. You take 4 years of Spanish and you don't speak a word in Spanish.
See,
I have to. I couldn't get my house cleaned.
Now, if you have someone that you're speaking to, right, that you're speaking Spanish to, and you're using the language, it's a different story. All of a sudden, things start clicking. You start having something from it. But if you learn something in theory and you kind of got the concept and you got the basic tenets so that you have the language and you kind of can put a thing or two together, what is our job to do when we were studying a class like that? Who can find item 155 in the introduction to the study of 10 Sfirot? What do? Though we don't understand. Come on, Lance, I see you're there. Come on, quicker. You can do it. We believe in you.
Lance is an old 40. Wake up, Lance.
It's okay, we'll wait.
And Kathy was asking for a link. I don't know if she got that. Other people are asking, like, how do new people that have graduated the EC take a young group next semester? Are you going to take people from other countries or just America? And my question is, when we come here, are we, any of us, interested in what is it that we want to do as far as our connection? How do we increase our connection? Our problem with the scheduling workshops, our 10 still has been thrown off by adhering to the lesson requirements as far as having our personal 10 meetings. See why we got 6 here now, because we haven't been getting together outside of lessons.
I'll share with you what most 10s in the world do. You have the morning lesson every day. You have several days a week, you have the Zohar lesson or the evening lesson in Israel. You have a time where you meet with your 10 to do what we call a summary of the day, 10, 15 minutes. We meet for a silent prayer before the lesson. And during the day, you have time to talk about the daily task. You know, whether it's, actually physically meeting or doing it on your WhatsApp or doing it in whatever way you have. We're still on that same topic. Oh, but we just go to the lesson. How are we going to connect? What do you mean? Where exactly are you thinking you're going to connect? When we sit together and do a workshop between us without the lesson, without the guidance of a Kabbalist?
Well, yeah, 10 workshops alone are a very good way to connect when nobody else is there. I mean, we're not teaching, we're workshopping.
Okay. Here's a question for a workshop. What's the difference between having a workshop in my 10 when we're just alone and there's no one bothering us, and having a workshop between our 10 where Rav is actually asking the question and we're following his guidance?
There's a difference.
Urgency and the amount of reforming light that's present.
Go on, friends. What's the difference between having a workshop with my 10 alone with no one bothering us and a workshop with my 10 when we're sitting in the morning lesson and Rav is guiding us?
It was a question of guidance. We're just friends and no Rav. There's no guidance. We're wandering looking for the light. Whereas Rav is a representation of that light and provides that guidance.
Maybe this is a technical answer, but I feel like there's more pressure and the questions are definitely harder.
Yeah, there's more technicality in the questions, and I think there's more unity in the bigger Kli, but as well as with the difference with that in the personal 10 is that there's more focus and more adherence. And
ideally, there probably shouldn't be any difference.
Yeah, Lance, I was going to answer the question with a question of what's the difference? Is there a difference? There shouldn't be any difference. So thanks, Lance.
Perhaps it's just a question of experience.
Let me do a follow-up question to that. You have two options. Time is limited, and I only have the one of two options. To either meet with my 10 at the morning lesson or meet with my 10 not at the morning lesson.
Need to connect with the 10.
At the morning lesson.
Ideally, meet with the 10 at the morning lesson, but that's not always possible because you can't always get everyone at your 10 at the morning lesson, but you can have your 10 meet outside of the morning lesson. So, ideally, have your 10 meet at the morning lesson. That's without question, but you can't always do that. So that's the problem that I think they're bringing up. If we can't meet as a 10 because people have different schedules, they can't always meet at the morning lessons. If we have to take some time from a morning lesson to have a meeting with our 10, are we making a poor decision that we shouldn't do that? We should hope that we'll get as many of our 10 at the morning lesson. Whatever is there is there. We'll do the best we can with it.
I don't know. Sorry. I don't know if this is like kind of getting off topic or a little bit, but the ones that can't make it to the morning lesson, we can make almost like a promise that we'd be thinking about the friends well, more so in that time of the day when the lesson is happening or the workshop when they're doing it.
There's also, if you really want to work on the workshop, sometimes you have to do it when there's no time restrictions. You don't have like 2 minutes to answer a question in a room that they're still struggling with selecting the next speaker. And those little technicalities have to get ironed out. And in the 10 alone, it's very easy to iron those things out. But when you start mixing groups and people are coming in and going out in a larger group during a lesson, it presents more challenges to connection. So the connection is harder to make in the lesson workshops virtually until we work out the method of selecting the speaker. I mean, such a simple thing. In the 10s, we get that stuff worked out and the connection is there, minus, of course, the rub, but nobody's trying to teach in our 10s. That's the number one rule that I just can't.
Next question. What's the purpose of our connection?
To build one desire in the center of the group, desire to reveal the Creator.
Yeah, to build a corrected vessel that draws to a form in light. Yeah, I agree, Tom.
Bestow upon the Creator.
Yeah, increase similarity of form with the Creator.
You correct our souls together.
To reveal the Creator.
To reveal the Creator through the center of the group. since we can only reveal the Creator in a group, and there's no other way that we can do it. So that's, as I understand it, that is the purpose of us functioning as a group, doing bestowal and annulling.
To rise above our corporeal desires and increase the desire to bestow.
Next question. If we already understand that we have to connect for the sake of drawing reforming light in order to bring contentment to the Creator and reach adhesion to the Creator, we already have that information. Why do we need Rav?
We know what we have to do. We don't know how to do it.
Doesn't that go back to the very thing you said in the beginning? We have to be able to experience it and feel it. And we are all talking very idealistically, which I love, which is great. I need that reminder. I need that input. I need my friends to help me out with that. But when we keep talking about this ideal, I have to raise my eyebrows and say, good luck to people. I'd rather deal with the deficiency that exists here, see how that works, see how to overcome that, deal with my 10 with it. And actually, in dealing with the 10, just trying to set a time that we can all be there has really helped the group to develop into a more cohesive group. So I have to say, there's a lot of different avenues of how to arrive at this as long as we hold to the principles and the concepts, the basics. And yes, I think we do need the Rav because his words of wisdom inspire us. So that's my thought on it.
I think the Rav is much more, than just inspiring. He draws the light for us. He is the center of expression. He is a Kabbalist that can draw the light just being in his environment. We have access to certainly the Or Makif, even if we don't understand everything. And that's why you need all three. There's a triunity. You need the Rav, you need the books, and you need the group. And the Rav is a very, very essential part of that. It's an opportunity for us to really draw more light.
He steers us in the right direction.
Yeah, I think he steers in the right direction. It's like driving a car, or learning how to shoot a handgun, or making a tackle in football. You can read all the books you want on it, but until you have a coach there that can show you how to actually do it, it's very hard to get by yourself.
Rav has a way of making us grow that we won't do on our own. We don't get the expansion and the contraction on our own. We just find a lovey-dovey place and then we plateau. I found that Rav gives us a lot more to work with.
If I have an option of being in a lovey-dovey place, like Adam said, the 10 is really connected, no distractions, we're flowing, everyone speaks right after the other guy or after that other gal, and we just feel so cohesive, we're one, we're so beautifully connected. Or I'm put in a place where it's challenging, uncomfortable, I have every frustration in the world, but I'm surrounded by light. Discuss it.
Yeah, good stuff.
If I hadn't experienced it, I wouldn't have agreed. I have experienced exactly what you're talking about. And yeah, Rob's a genius at doing that. That's why they don't like people quoting him, because he'll often say something one week and then it's a little different the next week. And well, somebody else talk.
I've heard it said that one thing in Kabbalah that worked yesterday may not work today. It's uncomfortable.
I think when we're in an environment when there's more problems and more things, more obstacles, it gives us more, it gives us a better way to correct ourselves. It gives us more opportunities to go down through and more trials that we can overcome together and rise above.
That's how we grow, by being challenged. I mean, more resistance, more challenge. It forces us to grow into ways, not being contented, but to open up our desire even more. And it's challenging. So every time there's a challenge, we have an opportunity to receive more of the reforming light, a bigger desire. It's what's necessary for us. If we're not challenged, we're not going to grow. And the Rav is a master at it. I wouldn't call it wisdom, because it's beyond that. It's beyond knowledge and wisdom. He just knows what to do and how to do it.
Yeah, I think it's how nature works. Like Gary just said, it's a challenge. So your thought process sharpens itself to try and overcome the obstacle. It's just how nature is. It's for every animal. An animal's faced with a problem, it tries to figure out how to overcome the problem.
I've heard the Rav say that he's fulfilling a role. That it's not him necessarily, but that it's a role that this Rav is to do for the 10. And, there's the article, buy yourself a Rav, or make for yourself a Rav. And I'm not really sure how that really connects to the rest, but I see him as like being some kind of conduit representative to above reason. Somehow he stands there as an example of it, or as like a higher understanding. Next.
Yeah, I think when we get in a lovey-dovey place and we become apathetic and non-responsive, I think Rav builds an environment for us to create this spiritual engine, so to speak. He gets our emotions and our feelings going, and that movement is what creates the potential for growth in the spiritual sphere. But that dormancy, when we get all nice and comfortable with each other, there's no movement. We're just happy with the place where we're at, and spiritually we never grow. So Rav provides us with that fodder to allow us to grow, along with the intention to be more like the Creator, of course.
I always assimilate it as, I think of it like this. Me with my 10, obviously I need to connect with them and reach adhesion and become one. But it's like 10 blind people walking around trying to guide each other. You have one seeing person in this world. How could you possibly not want that guidance? There's one person with the open eyes, and you actually have the option of the opportunity of being there. There's no coercion in spirituality, and I can't tell you guys, don't do this, do that. But if you think that if you have an option to be in the morning lesson and you're missing it, I no words. I can. It's like my tongue is becoming hard, and I don't know what to say. I can't imagine that feeling. And if anything, you should be thinking of, how do I make myself a Rav? Go back to that article, read it this week. What does it mean to make yourself a Rav? I mean, if you don't have the importance of the Rav, in fact, I think it was last night. Was it last night's lesson that Rav did that? Or was it the night before? I can't remember. If it was within the last 2 days. Rav did that question. He asked us in a workshop question. He said, why do I need the Rav if I have my 10? And why do I need the 10 if I have a Rav? And why are one dependent on the other? Why do Kabbalists tell us that the only way for you to advance spiritually, the only choice you have is Rav, the group, the books, dissemination? Why don't they just say, well, if you have Ravs, you don't need the other 3. But if you have the books, you don't need the other 2. You see what I'm saying here? And by the way, their own means. There's only the Creator and you anyway. But you take one component out, you take one cogwheel out of the machine, nothing works. Nothing. I'll throw a bomb at you right now, okay? For the last several months, you've been a 10. Those of you who are you kind of graduated the young group and stayed as a 10 from the young group. By the way, it won't happen anymore, what happened with you guys. We're going to mix them up immediately when they come out of the young group. Because what ends up happening is that you're finding that lovey-dovey place, and you really feel like you accomplished something because of the lovey-dovey feeling. And I'd venture to say that that's not where you're going to advance.
We got stale.
Yeah, I mean, we're supposed to advance by drawing reforming light, for coming from with a deficiency, a prayer, to come to a point where you are aching because you have a corrected state that you want to reach, and you examine yourself against the 10 and you realize you're the opposite of that. If you're not feeling that, or if you're imagining to yourself that you are corrected in some way, at what point, how could you possibly be, how are you different than any person on the outside who we call animals or children or babies who just don't know any better? They have no deficiency. They have no lack. So what could you possibly talk to them about? They don't have a recognition of evil. If you're not reaching recognition of evil, then where's the advancement here? If I'm not sitting here doing a workshop with you guys and saying, Gary, I love you so much. You're the greatest. The purpose of creation depends just on my love for you, and I just feel that you are the greatest and all that. And I say that with my mouth, but inside I'm thinking, son of a gun, look at him the way he's looking at me. Oh my, well, wipe that smirk off your face. I can't believe you're even looking at me that way. Really? Oh yeah? Oh, you think you're smart? I heard what you said last time when it came to your turn. It's like, if you don't have that gap between what you're feeling and what's coming out in your interaction, what are you working on? Can I correct anything? Question.
Needs to go to the right.
Say again?
That left line needs to be moved to the right. That's our work.
Okay, and my question again, can I correct anything? Let's say I discovered there's something wrong with me. I'm an egoist. I found out that my nature is opposite what it needs to become an Adam, to become in dvikut with Creator. Can I correct that?
No way.
Again?
No way.
No. You need friends.
You gotta have something to compare it to.
The prisoner cannot let himself out of prison. We can't connect directly to the Creator because the Creator at this point is in my imagination. But my friends, at least they may be, but they're real. That's something I can measure and see what's going on, and I can take that in, and I can relate to that, and I can react to that or not react to that, but I can grow with that. But with the imaginary Creator, how do I know what's going on? Nothing to compare to.
Only the reforming light makes the correction. That's the only agent at play. And what we do is generate a need to be corrected. by finding the difference Zohar's talking about between what we feel and what we say out of our mouth.
Thank you. That's what we need to remember. If I don't have a need for reforming light, there is no correction. We may have the most beautiful feeling between us and the 10. Feel like we're really close. Feel like we're flowing in the workshop. Feel like, when we talk, it's like a symphony. It's beautiful. It's just, oh my God, people should just watch us and feel what we feel when we're together. Guess what? When I was a young dude and I used to play in bands and stuff, we called that being in the groove, right? Right, Adam? When you just click. You're playing notes, he's playing notes, and then all of a sudden you're in the zone. Not the zone. That's where you are. You're like, all of a sudden something happens. Everyone lets go for a second, and and music happens. Oh, that's so beautiful. Any correction happening there? No. Guess what? Linda, remember when we went dancing tango? We took lessons and it was hard and all that, but finally, all of a sudden, we felt and it was beautiful. Everyone was just watching how beautiful we float together. It was like a Swan Lake happening all over again, right? But did we do any correction to our soul? No, it was beautiful. It felt really nice. We were connected. It was nice. It was great. Everyone was jealous of how beautiful we danced. And everyone was jealous how we played music. And everyone was jealous of how beautiful we do our workshop and it flows and all that. But did we come out with that deficiency for the reforming light to come and correct us? Did I sit there and say, oh, this is not working. And I can't do this. I'm crying, please. In fact, I'm realizing this is something that we need. And I'm sitting there, and even though I'm feeling the frustration that I'm not okay and all that, I'm saying, please, Creator, come and fix them. Help them be corrected. Help them reach the quality of bestowal. Help them feel the importance of us drawing you and serving you and becoming what like you. And I'm sitting there, and that's where I'm coming from that point. Then I'll call it a workshop. Then I'll call it a 10 that's actually working. Until then, everyone here has the experience. Linda, I didn't see you smile. Was dancing tango not beautiful? Beautiful. Come on, play with me a little bit. But you realize that the bottom line is that as long as we're not working, we're not bringing the Creator in there, we're not working on actually drawing the light, we're not sitting there with that in mind. Maybe it sounded beautiful, and we actually were saying the words, there's none else besides him, while we were doing it. Between that and having a gap between what we want and where we are, we didn't build a deficiency. We didn't raise man. We didn't pray. And even though we said, I pray for the friends to be corrected, and I really hope that one day we will all be together, and the Creator will save them, and the next one talks, and it sounds beautiful, and we're saying those words. But I haven't had that prayer in my heart because I didn't get to that wall where I realized all I need is one more step and we're in and we're connected and we're one with him. The problem is it's a brick wall right in front of my face. And I don't know how to walk through brick walls. I probably need the reforming light to come and help me through here. One step, but that wall's in front of me.
Zohar, excuse me, I have one little dilemma. During the last New Jersey Congress, Rav mentioned that it is forbidden in Kabbalah for the group to implement these negative thoughts or these conflicts within the group. Normally in the group, when we try to practice love of friends, try to nullify ourselves, it becomes almost instinctive to subjugate yourself to the friend and to not cause friction. But to provide this impact within the group where we have this opportunity to grow, how does one do that without artificially creating that? Because we're just learning how to love friends. Where do we learn this next phase?
It's the same face. How do we bring up the left line, which we're prohibited to do?
No idea.
It comes automatically by itself. You don't have to worry about. If somebody does it on purpose, I'm going to kick their ass.
Gary, how do I awaken the left line?
How do you awaken the left line? And I agree with what they're saying. It awakens itself because the ego.
How? What do I have to do for it to show up? Derek's worried. He's like, oh, but you said that we have to struggle and feel like we're hitting a wall and all that. And we hear you're telling us to just work on the right line. What's going on here? How do I awaken the left line? How do I awaken that thing that needs to be corrected?
I think by reading and knowledge, because that's already left line.
Michael?
I don't know, is maybe someone says something that you don't really like, and then you're having thoughts where you're like, oh, I really don't like this person anymore, and then that awakens in you, and then you got to rise above that.
Linda, how do we bring hatred into the group?
It just shows its ugly face. I don't know what else to tell you. The ego does it all the time. I just want to shame, blame, criticize, condemn, compare. And if I'm not on top of it, that's what happens all the time.
So are we saying this is a sit and wait kind of thing, Gary? Wait for the evil to rise and show its face? How do we take charge of that?
I apologize. I robbed you of 25 minutes of prayer, and we'll all go to the lesson now. I actually have to go to the young group, but I'll tell you this. You want the left to show up, the struggle to show up, the pain to show up, the cry to come up. Work on the right line. That's how it shows up. Work on love of friends and on connection, and you'll see where the hatred comes from. That's when it shows up. If you don't work on that, that won't show up either. You'll be stuck. I love you more than life can. No words.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zohar. Thank you, friends. And a minute.
Martin's trying to create a meeting time. Now we know what to do.
Bye, friends. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, look how your friends show you